So the Arizona Trail is basically something I've wanted to do for years. The pictures from out here just always look spectacular, and I love Arizona wilderness in general, you know, the desert, etc. I almost did it right after I finished the PCT in 2020. I was like finger on the button, ready to go, except both termini were closed due to fire. And I'm like, if I'm gonna go, I wanna be able to do the entire thing. So I've been holding off and just trying to find some point where I could, you know, fit it in. The northbound season for the Arizona Trail is usually, you know, March, April. If you go too early, you can have snow in some of the places, especially up the Grand Canyon. That gets difficult. If you go too late, then it's the desert, it gets hot, and there's no water. So it was a little bit hard to figure out when I could fit it in because my wilderness class commitments usually last through March sometime. It rotates every 4 years. And I've been on other trails. I mean, I was on the Eastern Continental Trail from December until November one year, so obviously I couldn't do it then. Some people also do it southbound in the fall. I did look at that. Like I said, when I was going to do it after the PCT, that was what I'd looked at. I like the idea of going north because I know where it ends at the Utah border, and that's a really cool area. It's up by the Wave and Buckskin Gulch and all of that. And also I've been toying with this idea of not just doing the AZT because, you know, it's only 800 miles, but getting up there and then continuing across Utah. There's a couple of different routes like the Great Western Trail, which is like a dirt road, the Deseret hiking route, the Eight Wonders trails, you know, and just walking across 2 states instead of 1. And those you can actually connect. The Eight Wonders Trail connects with the CDT, so you can get up to Canada, while the Deseret hits the Idaho Trail, the Centennial Trail. Now, I don't have time this year to do like border to border, but it's kind of a cool thing. Especially as the Triple Crown trails get so busy, I'm more and more interested in these various trail proposals, alternatives that go border to border. I'm coming into the Arizona Trail having already done the PCT, the Eastern Continental Trail / AT, and 2/3 of the Continental Divide Trail, in addition to things like the Condor Trail. So it's a little bit hard not to look at this and go, oh, this looks really straightforward. Nah, it'll be fine. Except I've been burned enough where I'm a little bit suspicious of having that opinion. It is 800 miles, which that's a month and change on normal trail mileage for me. There doesn't seem to be any huge struggles or super long carries like what I had to deal with on the CDT or otherwise. I did not actually do that much prep for this one. There is a far out guide for it, meaning I can check water along the way. I did do a rough resupply plan, basically just looking at here's all the usual resupply stops. Okay, I don't need this one. Okay, I don't need this one. And then also going through and figuring out where it made sense to buy and where it's made sense to send a package. I tend to try and avoid sending mail supply or post office resupplies just because post office hours I've been burned way too many times. But this one, it feels like it's going to be rather straightforward. Also this year, there has been a lot of rain everywhere out west, but including out here. I was just talking to somebody the other day who said they were on the first passage. They're called passages, not sections. And there were water sources that he had never seen flowing before, which should help for going across the dry bits. But again, I made it through the basin with like 30-mile water carries last year, so it takes a lot to, you know, phase me. I briefly considered carrying microspikes because Miller Peak had a good amount of snow. It seems like that's going to melt quickly, and I decided not to carry it. Thermally, I have a 30-degree sleeping bag. I'm a little worried about a couple of the storms if I'm at higher altitude, so I did throw some Reflectrix in to basically help insulate my ground pad. Since I'm not that worried about ambient, my 30-degree Western Mountaineering bag is great. It's usually cold ground and the cold coming up through the bottom of the pad. But I don't want to screw with my, you know, Tensor full air mattress because A, it's a lot of work at night, and B, I have a very bad habit of popping those. Biggest concern is actually up north. Once you get up near the Grand Canyon, they have enough snow where it may not melt in time, and also some trails may be damaged, so I may have to get creative once I go up there. You might see me road walking long sections. I'm roughly estimating, you know, 15 miles a day to start and then hoping to get closer up to 18. I'm not in too much of a hurry because I have plenty of time. I don't have a hard goal as far as getting across Utah. I'm going to do some extra on the northern end. And quite frankly, I'm hoping that the snow is going to melt a little bit around the Grand Canyon. So we'll see. Check back in about 800 miles in. We'll see how it compares with what I thought it was going to be.